Welcome to a special edition of the Your Home Renewed show where there is no script. And I am going to ask you a bunch of questions just off the top of my head. Haven't even thought past this last word that I just said right now. This one, that one that just came out. And I'm just going to start asking you questions.
Okay.
So you 3, 2, 1 it.
3, 2, 1.
Oh, she's terrible. All right. So my first question is, why in the world do you DIY?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think the main reason, if I'm going to be quite honest, is because I'm cheap.
Okay.
I mean, I will go to stores and
Expensive
shops.
taste in husbands, though, right?
Of course.
Okay.
But I will go to stores and shops and craft fairs, and I will look at items and admire them, and the work is incredible. And then I look at the price tag, and my first thought is always, oh, I can do that myself.
Yeah.
Because it's just too much. Now, obviously, if it's like a rare antique piece of furniture, I'm not a furniture builder, so I mean, I do have limitations
Or
on
a
that.
refrigerator. I can make one of those. You're out there forging steel and putting coils in. Man, this is harder than I thought. You know,
I don't know anything about refrigeration.
This cost me $6,000 to buy these parts.
I have to buy this tool to bend all the copper and do
Honey,
this
I don't think the
coil.
DIY is working on building your own refrigerator with the welders and the...
Well, I think one time you asked me if we were to have won a lottery or came into some mysterious money, would I continue doing this? And yes, I would.
Yeah.
I love that it is a creative outlet for me. When I was growing up, I used to decorate and rearrange my room. We're seeing that in our own son, who is constantly...
Just hear some kind of rumble and like,
Yes.
what is going on? Oh, right.
Yes.
The bed's going to the other wall.
Well, and you've been downstairs and you're hearing a big rumble and I'm up here moving furniture around.
Yeah.
So I've always had more fun setting up, what I'm about to play than actually playing it.
Yeah.
So building it and creating it. I remember we would play grocery store, but I would take more time coloring and drawing out the money that we were going to use than actually, pretend shopping.
So
and all
you
of that.
just you're just a creative at heart, and so that comes out in many ways. So it comes out with you singing, obviously.
Yes.
And then when you don't sing, instead of sitting around and building models or sewing or some kind of craft hobby, you sweat to the gizzard and pull out some walls and build some things with some power tools.
Yeah.
That's super cool. I had so many things that you said in that sentence that was sending me into new places, but then as your subjects changed, my mind just followed that. So now I've lost all of that stuff, which is such a bummer. What has been one of your most favorite DIYs?
I will have to default and say it's usually the most recent one that I've finished because with each DIY I've learned something new. So in our dining room, which we made over last, I learned to use a new product called Velatura Mineral Wash, and it's pretty much the DIY-er's guide to plaster. Yeah. It's super easy to use. It creates movement on the wall. It looks really, really cool. So since I have been able to learn to use a new product, that's, my favorite.
That's kind of your favorite. And it looks great. It's got such a vibe in that room, and all the kids love it. And
yeah, they do.
Yeah. All right. So what is your least favorite DIY you've done?
That one's a stickler for me.
The pallet island?
That was one that I thought of. Even though that was a huge, very successful thing. So we lived in an apartment in Vegas. We did not have a kitchen island, but we also didn't have a lot of counter space. And this was a rental because we were preparing to come back to Tennessee on one of our many cross-country moves. And so we wanted to not spend a lot of money. I found a whole bunch of pallets for free, and we bought 4x4 posts that we cut down. We already had some slatted wood that was untreated. It was just regular pine that we sanded clean. So we did not use for the countertop where food was going to touch it. We did not use...
Oh, the comments.
Oh, I know. But we did not use any of the pallet wood because it is, if you don't know this, pallet wood is treated with chemicals. Yeah. So you don't want, if you're going to use any sort of food prep area, that's definitely not safe. But so we made this
like structural
really neat.
Was the pallet wood stuff was more structural.
Well, and more
than,
decorative.
Of course, I'm sure someone would be
picky
picky and say, well, it's still in the kitchen and still all the chemical, whatever.
I don't
but
know.
Hey, the things you do
that's right.
when you don't have a lot of money to do them.
But, I mean, we took that to Tennessee with us. We were able to remove all of the pallet wood, the offensive pallet wood, and we covered it with beadboard and made it into this really cool island. We swapped out the top and did our own DIY wood top. So I don't know. That one may not be my least favorite. It did pop to my mind.
Yeah.
But
well, you just said you redid the redo.
Yeah.
And so you improve it each time.
In true Jen fashion.
Okay. What is one thing that you wish you could do better in your DIYs, or something that you dream of getting to in your DIYs?
Woodwork.
I
wish I could do it better. Do I think I'm capable of doing it? Yes. But in all honesty, you are so good at it. And you have a flair for being meticulous, whereas I'm the close enough girl that I really think that I would rather you do it because I know you're going to be much more detailed about it, where I might be like, whatever, this is good. Let me just hurry up and get this done. But I see the girls like on the Instagram and on Pinterest and everybody tackling their projects and building these incredible built-ins. And I'm like, I wish I could do that, which I know I can because I've built some stuff before, but I just lack the confidence.
Well, maybe they don't have the loser husband that doesn't have a job and sits around the house all day.
You are not a loser husband.
All right, so...
And you do have a job.
On that...
And you don't sit around the house all day.
I build things.
Because I put you to work.
That's right. Okay, give me maybe 3 other DIY-ers that you watch regularly that inspire you the most.
Well, to piggyback what I had just said about, being inspired by... people who are doing the woodworking. Nicole from Simply Aligned Home, she's a rock star in my mind. I mean, if you have seen any of her builds, she is super incredible and talented. Always wowed by them. The other people who influenced me recently, like I'm in love with Devol Kitchens. They're not necessarily an influencer, they're more of a brand, but the way that they approach how they do their work, they embrace, imperfections and stuff that has lasted throughout time. So bringing those elements and actually trying to replicate the worn and weathered elements into kitchen design, making it look as if this bespoke kitchen that they have built has been around for 100 years. I mean, it's really amazing.
Like you've been showing me some of their stuff too, and it's like it's exactly what you just said. But we tend to be used to seeing the perfect kitchen, where everything is just crisp and it's clean and like factory finish look. But then you see Devol Kitchens, like somebody's lived here for 100 years, and it looks so cozy, and so inviting. And it doesn't seem as cold as the others. Yeah. And so I would imagine if you walk through the more modern, perfected machine kitchen, everything is going to be very angular and kind of sterile. And then I imagine walking into a Devol kitchen, you probably see little gaps and those little things that bother you when you are woodworking. But you would wouldn't care about it because look how this thing just engulfs you
Yeah.
and says, sit here and have a meal with your family and loved ones.
Right.
And, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
One more.
One more, I would have to say Robert and Lauren from Bless Her House, mainly just because I consider them kindred spirits.
Yeah.
I love that they're a husband and wife team. Lauren and I have a tendency to have similar styles and similar approaches to things. And we had a chance to meet them and hang out with them. And that just really getting to know them as individuals.
Yeah.
So not necessarily from a design perspective, but more from they call themselves the dynamic duo. And so as a duo who is taking on the design world, that's just, I think, what you and I continue to dream of. And so, so I admire their work ethic. I admire, how they are a team. And
I admire that Robert is also a goofball.
Yes.
So pretty easy to get along with that guy.
But they're so talented and they're genuine. And if you don't follow them, then, where have you been? Because they're rock stars in my mind.
Also rock stars. Everyone's a rock star. If you had a chance to go back to your younger DIY self, what would you tell her?
I don't know. I mean, younger DIY self, it goes all the way back to Christopher Lowell.
Oh, Christopher Lowell. That's OG stuff right there.
That is.
Man.
So, I mean, if you think about growing up, I mean, I was still kind of living with, mom and dad. So I kind of was guided by, what we were able to create in my own personal space. I came up with colors and ideas and designs, and we would do it together. And then when we were first married, we had an apartment that we got permission to paint, and we painted it just based on what we had. But it wasn't until we moved out to California where, I mean, it was a 1950s plaster wall triplex that we lived in, and we became friends with the owners who lived upstairs, and we asked, well, can we do this? Well, since the walls were plaster, that's when we had to be very creative. So Christopher Lowell had all of these neat ideas of, well, if you use cardboard and then you put the batting around it and then you use fabric. And so I think that he kind of helped formulate my passion to do things on a dime. How can I make this creative? I mean, when we built that headboard, we only had a tiny sedan, and we were buying plywood that we had to have them cut into like 2 or 3 pieces.
So we could fit it in the car and then get home and put it all back together.
But we still kept, we still have kept it. So I don't know if I would go back and...
Maybe you'd just say, watch more Christopher Lowell episodes.
No, I think I would say maybe go back and don't be afraid to tackle the big things. I think at first all I did were the easy, pretty things.
Yeah.
I didn't, we could have asked them, hey, we hate this floor. Can we rip up the linoleum and install our own floor? I mean, I think I would have been a little bit more bold and saying, let us do the DIYs.
Okay, cool. All right. What is the hardest thing about being an online DIY-er, blogger, video maker, content creator, all of the things that you do? What's the hardest thing about that?
That there's only one of me. That it really is time management. Because, we've got all of the things that are involved in that. So you have to plan the DIY, you have to create the DIY and photograph and film the DIY, then edit it and publish it and share it. Then on top of that, I also work part-time for another company. Then on top of that, we also have a music business that we own and operate and have gigs and rehearsals, and we have to mark out time, and we're hired out for worship at churches and all of that. And then on top of that, you have your painting business that I also help contribute to. So I think the juggling the hats and trying to be mom and trying to be, the best spouse that I can be. And I think that has been my biggest struggle, is just managing the time. And I think in the last year, I've had to learn to give myself grace of there sometimes is not enough time to do it all or to do it all well. So do the best that you can and not allow, if something falls through or the plate shatters because you're juggling so many of them, it's okay. And we just move on.
Yeah. Well, thus noting grace. Sounds like you've been doing a little bit of that.
Noticing grace.
Noticing it,
in my
noting
own
it, remembering
life.
it, thinking about it. Yeah. Okay, so then that leads me to ask, what is your biggest dreams or dream for your business?
To not have to rely on so many different avenues. But I don't know. I mean, all of the other avenues I love. But my biggest dream after walking through what we went through last year with your health scare and surgery, when we first met and fell in love, all we wanted to do is no matter what we did, we just wanted to work side by side. And so that's all I want to do.
Yeah.
That's my biggest dream. I don't care what the success is. I mean, yes, it's great to have business goals and markers, but my ultimate goal is to just be Velcroed
That's
to
right.
you
Yeah.
all day long.
That's cool.
Pretty simple.
I like this goal. I've always liked Velcro. I didn't know why, but now I do. What is your favorite thing? This is a two-parter. What is your favorite thing about working with me?
Laughing.
Yeah.
You make me laugh every day.
Okay. All right. What is your most frustrating thing that I do while we're working?
You hem and haw. You just will overthink and go back and think and overthink. And sometimes it's the Dumb and Dumber scene when he's on fire and he's like, just give me the number. Sometimes I might get to that point to say, just make a decision.
That's right. Yeah. I can feel that tension sometimes. Yeah. All right. That's fair. If you never DIY'd again, would you be happy?
No. I think that's who I am. I think that if it's not a DIY in home decor, I would be knitting, I would be writing stories, I would be, more involved in music. I think that being a creative, I think that I would find other avenues to create. Yeah. So DIY to me does not mean DIY only in your home.
Yeah.
I think it's DIYing yourself. You could get into fitness and, that could be a DIY. So whatever it is, it's just tackling something that propels you to be a better person. I think that's what we're called to be, to recognize first off that we are just utter junk.
Yeah.
And without the greater in us who animates us, that's what makes us greater. And so because I have Jesus who animates me, then I want to be the best that I can in order to glorify him the best that I can.
So this isn't just a cash grab then. This actually means something to you.
Yes.
And that's why you want to share that so that other people soak up your creativity and they say, she's the rock star because I want to do things like she does them.
I don't DIY in order to make content.
Yeah.
If I was not an influencer, blogger, whatever, I would still be doing this in our home.
And no one would know.
Yeah. The only reason why we created the website was thinking, we know we're not the only ones doing it, so whatever we have learned, hopefully this will help the next person if they're tackling that project.
Cool. Well, dang. And on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you love me?
Oh, a bazillion, because it's not even on the scale.
Well,
it's immeasurable.
But I asked specifically 1 through 10.
Well, 10.
But 10 is the worst.
Oh, so 1.
Wait, is 1 the worst? Anyway, thanks for watching this very special edition where I asked her a bunch of questions completely off the top of my head. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate my questions? With 5 being the best.
Oh, 5.
Yeah, okay. Good. I nailed it. Speaking of, I need to go nail something.
Okay. Thanks, guys, and stay tuned because I will probably do a Q&A on Trent very soon.